So, we've woven a cloth, indexed it with 2 rows using the technique of rope. At this stage there are several varieties possible. The easiest one is tucking poles in, either making some kind of an edge or just adjoining to each neighboring pole, like this. I've applied this technique to this cachepot. I've tucked the tips in, glued the edges, cut the tails and continued shaping the article. Now I'd like to show you the way I've treated the edge on this cachepot. I've unlaced it and made an edge. And continued weaving without cutting any tails. So what do? I mark regular distances from the edge, for example 8 centimeters, which is about 3 inches. $8 from the edge, I bend and adjoin to the same facet, and fix with the rope so far. Afterwards we are going to untie this piece of rope. At this stage, if the tubes were too rigid, you can moisten them and roll them with the help of a rolling pin. The next step. Indent about 8 centimeters again and adjoin with a neighboring facet. Eight centimeters again and tie to the following facet. Tie with a piece of rope. We'll get rid of rope later, we use them just for shaping. And the last one, 8 centimeters, bend. It's a bit hard to work with a hedgehog like this, but on the other hand the article will be woven as a whole. As a result, we get a small cachepot to fit a small glass. Check the shape. We have to get a square, like this. Unite the facets. We've got a shape like this. At first let's work with the corners. Moisten the tubes. Make the edge moving from the corner toward the center. Make the simplest possible edge. Our goal is uniting 2 facets. There are a lot of tubes. I use them in couples. Bend one tube around the other one. Take the next couple, one tube is from this side, the second one is from the opposite side. Lead the extreme tube round the following 2 and lay the sticking couple. Divide them. Look, one tube from one side and another one from the opposite side. I unite them in couples. Actually, you can make any type of an edge. I've chosen the simplest one. the next two. It is not very easy edge making here because the tubes are too close to each other. Anyway, we'll connect the tubes somehow. We are reaching a corner. I'm not drawing your attention to the detail, as it doesn't really matter what kind of an edge you make. Well, let's examine the third corner in some detail. At first I bend one tube, then there come couples. You see one tube sticks from one side and another one from the opposite side. I couple them like this, bend one more tube, round the following one. Now lead the first tube round the next couple and lay the couple. Divide them again. Take any one of the tubes. Lay them neatly one onto another, all three tubes. Here is another couple. It's not very easy to view here because the tubes are placed too close to each other, but anyway we will cope. I've chosen the simplest type of an edge. And unite the tubes here. After connecting the facets like this, we can get rid of a rope. Bend the last pole. As a result, we've got a connection like this. Now we can take a rope out. Afterwards we are going to glue and cut the tails. As for these poles left, we are going to weave 2 or 3 rows more in the technique of a rope. There is only one last corner left. After edging all the 4 corners, let's get back to the point where our working tubes still stick out. And continue enlacing the edge of the square in the technique of 2-tube rope. Process the edge of this inner square with a 2-tube rope. And weave 2 rows. Try to smoothen the edge. We will take the ropes out afterwards. Well, actually we can already do it at this stage, but I prefer to do all the trimming in the end. Look what we have here. Passing on from one facet to another, try to grade the surface. After the first row has been woven, I weave the second row of 2-tube rope, hiding the poles inside at the same time, to avoid making any bendings. I start weaving, lead 2 poles toward inside and make a step with the rope. Then lead toward inside. There are many possible ways to fix an edge. I've tried a few and chosen this one. I don't like the tails to stick out, that's why I lead them inside. And weave rope style. lead inside. It's high time to lengthen the tube. The next one. Lead inside and weave rope style. And continue this way up to the very end. It is the way a nearly finished article looks. Now we are going to treat it. I'll cover it with school glue, cut the tails, and we'll see the result. So we've glued the edges, cut the tube tails, and it is a kind of an article we got as a result. It is neither primed nor varnished yet. This time I've chosen a more complicated way, with an edge band. I've applied edging to these two articles as well, just a bit different types of edges. As for these two, I've just sewn the edges together and covered them with such a decorative braid. Here is a regular braid, while for this article I've woven a 6-edge braid and decorated it with leaves. This way is easier, so I do recommend it to beginners. Because, as you've seen, it is rather difficult to work with tails that are close to each other. Anyway, both results please me. All the cachepots have got different shape, interesting and unusual looking. What else do I like to add? In this case I've got rather tall cachepot, so I think I'll put a glass with violets, for example, inside. The basic square had a side of 25 centimeters long, about 10 inches. At first I've tried a square with a 35 centimeter, almost 40, about 15 inches side. When I've shaped a pot, it has turned out too short. So let me show you the way I've made it higher. I've taken a pot, in my case it was a jar like this. Just look what size of a jar you need to fit the size of your cachepot. And while priming with school glue mixed with water, I shape a pot the way I need. This way I've made our pots higher. Moreover, I haven't pressed any pots. I just pulled them and let them dry on a jar. As a result, I've got my cachepots rather high, so I've decorated an absolutely plain pot, and as a result got a nice looking one like this. Let me tell you a few more words. I'd been thinking about this shape of articles for quite a while already. But it turned out that Natalia Sorokina and I came to the idea at the same time. And while discussing, we find out that we see the purpose of the shape of articles in a quite different way. The way I see the articles made using this technique is like this. The link to Natalia's vision will be included into the article, so each of you can choose the one you prefer. So good luck to all of you in your creativity!